Hi guys, Olive here. Here today to discuss Zora Neale Hurston's classic novel, Their Eyes Were Watching God, and compare it against the 2005 movie adaptation. First things first, let's talk about the book. It was published in 1937, and it tells the story of Janie Crawford, who was a black woman living in the American South. The whole book takes place in Florida, just different parts of Florida. Janie is of mixed race ancestry, and we're given the impression by Zora Neale Hurston that she is very beautiful. Janie was raised by her grandmother. She never knew her mother or her father. And we learn very early on in the book that her family legacy includes a lot of sexual violence. Both her grandmother and her mother were taken advantage of and abused by men. And so basically the moment that Janie's grandmother gets the impression that Janie is starting to take an interest in boys, she wants to get her married off to the first person who will take her. It's hard to argue with Janie's grandmother's points in that scene because her grandmother knows that she's an elderly woman and that she's not going to be around forever to protect Janie from all of the dangers out there. And she has enough life experience to know, as an elderly woman and having gone through the things that she's gone through, that Black women like Janie need that protection against the world. So in order to guarantee a certain level of protection for her granddaughter, whom she loves very, very much, Janie's grandmother marries her off to a local landowner. And I don't want to give too much about this book away in case you haven't read it, but there are a total of 3 men in Janie's life. There's that landowner, and then later on she gets married to the mayor of an all-black town in Florida. And then even later than that, she gets into a relationship with a man 12 years her junior, and he goes by the nickname of Tea Cake. I figured when I picked up this book that I would go on to enjoy it, but I had no idea when I started this book that I was starting a new favorite classic. But that's exactly what I was doing. I adored this book almost beyond measure. There are lines within this novel that I know I'm going to keep with me for the rest of my life. Janie, the main character, her search for liberation, for personal fulfillment, and for passion in her life is so moving. To see her as a character, she goes from someone who for years lived within the confines of what other people, what society expected from her. But then at a certain point in her life, you can see that she can make a choice, whether she's going to continue living within those confines or whether she's going to break free and find the things that she's been chasing her entire life. She can either do what she knows or she can venture into the unknown and truly experience personal freedom. And it is exhilarating. I could rave about this book all day if you let me, but there are some other things I want to talk about in this video, so I should probably stop there. Before I go on to discussing the movie adaptation of this book, I did very briefly want to mention the inspiration behind this video. In case you haven't seen my other videos like this that I've been doing so far this year, I'm actually friends with the owner of a very small literary-themed candle company that's local to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I live. The owner, Amanda, every single month creates a limited edition candle of the month based on a book. All of her candles are based on books. And she sends me that candle. And then it's a really fun challenge for me to read the book that she based the candle off of and then create a video idea around it. Once again, I have to thank Amanda, not just for all of the amazing candles, which I'm very appreciative, but also because she has motivated me to pick up so many amazing books that would have taken me so much longer to prioritize otherwise. I read a new favorite classic this month because Amanda based North Avenue Candles June 2021 Candle of the Month on that book. And the scent that she chose for Their Eyes Were Watching God could not be more perfect. It is pear blossoms and tea cake. Obviously, half of this candle scent was inspired by the name of one of the main characters, but you also have that nice, sweet pear smell in here. Oh, it's so nice. It's very delicate and soft, but that's not a euphemism for not strong. It's a pronounced scent, but it's not aggressive. It's so comforting. It's almost pillowy. It's a really nice mix of fresh, crisp, sweet pear, but then also pastry. It almost kind of smells like a pear tart. As soon as I smelled this for the first time, what it really reminded me of and continues to remind me of, for all of my fellow fans of the Great British Bake Off, I love it so much. It's the most gentle, perfect thing. I can't get enough of it. But you know those transition scenes where they're focused on all the nature outside of the tent? That's kind of what this reminds me of, those scenes where it's soft and comforting. You have the natural smell of the pear, but then it's almost like the smell of baked goods catches a breeze and then surrounds you. That's what this feels like. As are all of her candles, this is just so lovely. I can't wait to burn this more. I think I'm going to burn it again right after I'm done this video because I've smelled the candle and now I want more of it in my life. But also, just like all of her candles in this 9-ounce size, when you first receive it, it has a little charm sitting in the wax at the top. You burn it for 5 minutes and you can remove it and use it for whatever you want. But each of the charms is based on the candle that's inside of the jar, and this month's, it's a little bee charm. It is adorable, and I was so excited about it because I have so many bee decorations around this house. This little guy is going to fit right in. So if you want one of these, the link to where you can find it will be in the description box below. Again, it's the candle of the month. It is inherently limited edition, so if you would like to get your hands on it, please be sure to do so within the month of June 2021. If you're finding this video later than June 2021, the link down below will be just a generic link to the candle of the month so you can see whatever this month's candle of the month is, whatever month you're finding this video. Also, Amanda told me that she just set up international shipping. She's very new to it, so if you have any problems, please do let her know and she'll be happy to work with you. But it's very exciting. People outside of the US can get their hands on these now. Just a reminder that Amanda doesn't pay me to talk about these candles, and I don't get paid if you buy a candle of the month. I just really believe in this business. I've been buying these candles long before I met Amanda, but since I've known Amanda, I know how amazing she is, and it's an amazing product. They're candles based on books. What's not to love? But now let's move on and discuss the 2005 movie adaptation of Their Eyes Were Watching God. This was actually a TV movie, and it was produced by Oprah Winfrey, her company, Harpo, and she actually served as the host of the broadcast, which aired on ABC. These were the days before the Oprah Winfrey Network OWN. And I have a very distinct impression. I don't have any direct evidence to support this, but based on everything I've read about this movie, it seems like this movie exists because Oprah loves the book and wanted there to be a movie. And because she's Oprah and she has that kind of money and power, she could just be like, let it be so. Oh, to have that kind of power. We would already have a Night Circus movie if I had that kind of power. But not only did this movie probably get made when it did because of the power of Oprah, but also it has an all-star cast because Oprah. I mean, Halle Berry plays Jeannie in this movie, and this is after she won her Oscar, mind you. I don't know how many Oscar winners have to accept roles in TV movies. I think they only do that if Oprah is involved. But also, Terrence Howard is in this movie, and Michael Ealy is in this movie. Terrence Howard doesn't have a main role. He's more of a supporting character in this movie. And that was a little bit disappointing because I wouldn't mind seeing Terrence Howard on my screen a little bit more. He is almost devastatingly handsome. But then again, Michael Ealy, who plays Tea Cake, he's not hard on the eyes either. Halle Berry makes the perfect Janie in this movie. She is so fantastic in this role. I now can no longer picture anyone else in the role of Janie because she does it so well here, which I would love to see more adaptations of this in the future, but I mean, Halle Berry has set the bar pretty high. She brings so much life to the character, this zest and sense of youthfulness. And that is really important to understand about Janie because we do meet her when she's a younger woman, but we also see her as an older woman. And as an older woman, even though she's world weary in a way, she hasn't lost her love of life. She hasn't lost that fire inside of her. It's one of the reasons why her relationship with Tea Cake, who is 12 years younger than her, it's the reason why they work so well together. They both have those youthful youthful spirits about them. But even though I've been talking exclusively about Halle Berry in the starring role because she is so fantastic, there's not a bad performance in the bunch. Everyone did just an amazing job with these characters. More so than in other book-to-movie adaptations that I've seen, this movie was very faithful to the book, just in terms of the major plot points in the storyline. Basically, everything you would expect to see in the movie based on reading the book is in there. They don't really add anything extra. They do subtract a few things, which I will discuss in a moment. But I'm assuming the fact that this movie is so faithful to the book has everything to do with the fact that Oprah was involved in this, and she is so famously a book lover. But now we'll talk about the things they decided to subtract, the things they didn't include from the book in the movie. One of the things they didn't include were any of the heavy accents. A lot of this book is written in dialect, and they chose not to include that. And also, they chose to eliminate any and all conversations about race. Now, based on things I've read about this movie, it seems like Oprah may have said that she wanted the story of this book to reach the widest possible audience. And that's why those types of conversations about race were left out. If that is in fact what she said, the subtext that I'm getting from that is that she didn't want to alienate the white women within her audience by bringing up those types of topics. If that's true, that's rather disappointing, because I think it's important that we have these types of conversations. Nothing is achieved by not talking about these things. But also, the topic of race is really important within this book. So much of this story is about liberation and personal freedom, and the legacy of slavery has everything to do with that. Janie's grandmother, the one who married her off, is a former slave. So the women in Janie's family might be physically free now, but they are not free in other ways. They have to be protected. According to Janie's grandmother, Janie has to live with her first husband because of her grandmother's fears. She's held back that way. Her husbands hold her back in a number of different ways. The opinions of people within the town hold her back. So until she has mental, emotional, financial freedom, she is not truly free. The exclusion of that element to make it more palatable for some viewers, you know what I mean by that, means that viewers of this movie will not fully understand what Zora Neale Hurston was trying to communicate in the story, and that is a real shame. Instead, they pivoted to focusing on the romantic relationships. Within the movie, they were trying to get it to appeal to women, that is very clear, and the romantic relationships are a big part of the book. It's just that they're a lot more important in the movie. There's a lot of things communicated in the movie through physical touch. It is very subtle, but then the movie in general is more overtly sexual than the book is. It's not raunchy. It's just that it is a lot more intimate. But I do feel that this movie was successful in what it aimed to do. They're obviously trying to get you to feel the emotional impact of these relationships much more clearly than you did in the book. That's their focus. And I think they were successful. Just for instance, you feel that emotional connection between Joe and Janie so much more strongly in the movie than you do in the book. Like, you know they have a connection in the book, but you really feel it in the movie. And they communicate it so well. There are all of these really subtle physical movements that kind of tell you what's going on. You'll see Janie try to lay a claim on Joe in the same way he's laid a claim on her, but he'll turn his head away, showing that he's just not allowing himself to get as close to her as she's allowing, at least at first, to get to him. And I really like in pieces of media when you're rewarded for paying close attention. And that was definitely the case when it came to the physical movements in this movie. And the ending sections in this movie are so powerful. They took all of the emotional impact from the book and just dialed it up a few notches. It just works. So I am disappointed that they dropped certain elements of the book that I think are really important to understanding that story. But the things that they got right within the movie, they got really right. And I was just wrapped around this movie's figurative finger by the end of it. I loved the book. I really, really liked the movie. And I highly recommend both. I also highly recommend the candle of the month based off of Their Eyes Were Watching God. If you want this, again, the link will be in the description box below. If you do want one, be sure to grab it before June 2021 ends and July's candle comes into town. So that's it for this video. If you have any comments or questions about anything you've seen in today's video or about anything in general, please feel free to put those in the comment section below. But if you would like to keep up with what I'm reading and writing about right now, you can find me on various places around the internet, including Goodreads and some other social media platforms. The links to everywhere you can find me will be in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.